Cultural Canvas, Episode 2. Topic of the week, art culture.
Let's see. All right, so we are recording now. All right, awesome.
Cool.
So this is Cultural Canvas, Episode 2. I am your host, Jakai Grayson, and I have Casidy Collazo as the guest today. So how you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you? Kind of just chilling.
Side around here. It's hot. This room is hot.
I'm wearing a sweater. I'm not hot.
Yeah, well, what's it called? Y'all that can wear sweaters like this in this type of weather. I don't know if I can trust you. Y'all,
Well, it's
y'all
just
are.
because I like my room to be like freezing. So like when it's freezing in here, I like to like snuggle up. So I'm chilling right now because I'm nice and cool.
See, what's it called? The thing about it is, I had to turn off the AC to get the mic right, and I got a light on me. So let's just say this is hell part 2 over here.
I
We
had
are.
to turn off my AC too. It's so loud. So I have my fan on. So I'm like,
Oh yeah, I can see
this is
this.
hot.
I can see the fan spinning up
Yeah,
there.
you see it, right?
Yeah. So we doing so. All right, you cool, and I'm in hell, but I'll man up. I'll man up about it. So this episode we'll be talking about art culture because a lot of people do not know. In fact, nobody knows, at least those that don't watch the podcast, that we know that you are an artist and a pretty good one at that. So,
Thank you.
all about art culture. There's not a lot that I know about art culture, but in regards to you, you're more of the digital artist and you may have, worked with physical art. So tell me, what is that all about?
So to me, because I know everyone who's an artist technically has like their own opinion about art culture. Everyone has different styles, different forms of art. Because to me personally, I feel like art is just everywhere, like everywhere, or everyone has some sort of like arts in them. Whether they say like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, I'm not an artist, I can't do that," or "Oh, I only draw stick figures." Like, yeah, like you can draw stick figures, but it's still art.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm a graphic designer. I've been studying graphic design for at least 5 years of my life, but I've been doing a lot of drawing and art and painting and stuff like that ever since I was very little. And I just feel like art culture is just something to like be creative in. Like you put your mindset into something and you kind of just do whatever you feel. Whether it's like you do art over feeling or like you're like, "Oh, I have a really good idea," and you just start
Mm,
doing scribbles or whatever. Like I just feel like art is just so universal to everyone, and I feel like everyone should know that there's just art everywhere and that you can potentially create art yourself, and it's not just for, oh, like you were born with like an artist hand or whatever. Like no, I had to train this hand to do what I do today. Like I don't just come out the womb and I'm like, artist, we're gonna just become an artist. Like no,
yeah.
like it took me a very long time to realize like, okay, I really want to do art and I need to want to try and make it big out there and stuff like that and make the audience have an eye where it's like, oh, she does really good art, so I want to like continue to follow her journey and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got you.
So yeah, it's basically it. Like what I think art culture for me at least is like just being creative and just doing whatever you feel is, your style and whatever comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you have to follow freaking whatchamacallit, like Picasso or Van Gogh or anything. Like, no, you don't have to do like any of that, but just kind of just be creative and have fun with it. It's nothing too technical.
All right, I got you. I do respect and I do enjoy that be yourself aspect about art. So, when you started, when did you start and what made you say, huh, this is something I want to keep doing down the line?
So when I was very little, I would say maybe like 4 or 5 years old, I had a neighbor across the street who was an incredible artist. He was an old man and he was retired from either the Navy or he was a veteran or something along those lines. And he did incredible art. Like he did masterpieces of portraits and stuff like that. And we were very close. Fortunately, he died a long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago.
Mm,
So when I was younger, I told myself, man, like I really like just painting. Like when I started off painting, because obviously he did a lot of painting. So I would go over the house with my father and like he'll be like, come on, let's go do a couple paintings and we'll spend hours painting and painting. I'm like, I really want to just keep doing this. So I told myself, like, in the future, I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this art or whatever I'm gonna do, and I'm just gonna do art. I just told myself I'm gonna do some sort of art, even though I didn't know what it was. And when he passed away, I told myself, yeah, when he passed away, I told myself, yes, you're gonna do art in his name, kind of like in his name, and just keep going, keep growing with what he taught you and stuff like that. And so I do art, and I've kept doing it ever since I was 5, and now I'm 18 turning 19, and I haven't looked back at it.
Awesome, awesome. So I know that when it comes to art, you kind of develop your own style. It's a slow but sure process that you kind of get influenced by other people, and then you slowly use all the influences around you to develop that art style or that music style or that picture style. So for you, what were your influences when it came to, developing the style that you have now?
Oh God. It took me so long to develop a certain type of style. It took me a lot of just people who I grew up with. Like, I had a couple friends who were like really into art, and they just did like little animations and stuff like that. Like, I was first a cartoonist. I did a lot of cartooning, a lot of like anime-ish characters, and I was very content with that. And then I started to fall off of that because when I got into county prep, um, I started off in cosmetology, as you know, started off in
Hmm.
cosmetology for a year and a half, and then I was just like, this isn't for me anymore. Like, I don't like book work in the cosmetology, but I like doing the hands-on stuff. But I decided
uh,
to switch to graphic design, and I was happy there because when I got in there, the only reason why I started falling off animation is because I started getting into more realism. I started doing a lot of like, oh, excuse me, I did a lot of like skulls, and I did a lot of like body parts and like humanism and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like I'm more interested in doing this because it's a longer process.
yeah.
So, and then in graphic design, I started getting more technical with computer work and stuff like that. And I had a lot of inspiration from my friends, Emily Adams. I had a lot of inspiration from my friend Savion, and everyone was just so artistically like nice. And I was just like, wow, like I love being in a room where there's so many other people who
Hmm.
are doing art in their own style, but they're just doing art and it looks so great. And I decided to stay, and I just kept going. I was like, I want to make my own style. Obviously, my technical style, I would say now, right now, is just I do a lot of portraits of people. I do a lot of portraits of friends, family, dogs, and stuff like that. So I'm pretty content. I also do a lot of like line art and stippling. For any of my artists out there, if you know what stippling is, I'm sorry, it's really complicated, but it's really worth it in the end. And I just have a lot of different like things that I like to do. I'm not a really big watercolor person. I hate painting now, actually. I'm not a big oil pastel person because I don't want to break my arm, and like I never have an arm again. So there's a lot of things that I like to do in the art world, but there's also a lot of things I don't like to do. And even though if I don't like to do them, sometimes you have to do them. I'm okay with it. Either way, the style of art with other people, I just get a lot of inspiration from other people, and it's just really, really great to put in your mind. It's like, oh, like, they're getting so much inspiration from family and friends and artists out there, especially like artists, musical artists, and even other artists who do graphic design work and anything. There's, like I said, there's just art everywhere. So inspiration comes from literally anywhere and anything. So yeah.
Ah, that's dope. That's dope. And you mentioned CP, County Prep, the school that we both went to and we both have plenty of stories about. Both phenomenal and the other ones not so much. But we but you did mention how, your major was cosmetology, then you transferred to, art. Now, one thing that just a note, our school is a vocational school. So when you made the transition, from going to cosmetology to art, what was kind of like, was it a rough transition? Was it smooth? How was it?
In the time, it was a very rough transition because when I got into county prep, I went to cosmetology because my aunt used to be a hairdresser and stuff like that. So she was also in the cosmetology-ish world. And at the time I was very like into doing makeup. I still am now. But when I was in cosmetology, I didn't realize how much bookwork was put into it. Like I realized, yeah, there's obviously going to be a lot of technical things, but going into it, I was just like, I just honestly I hate studying and I hate, learning that new hard stuff. And I'm like, we had tests every 2 days and we had book pages up to like this much of work. And I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed with it. So honestly, I made the transition myself, and then I called my aunt and said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to do cosmetology anymore." Because the only
Mm.
reason why I went into it was because I would get a license at the end of it. I would take a test at senior year, and if I passed it, I got a cosmetology license. And I was like, that's a great start to like a career out of high school. But I just couldn't do it anymore. So I made the transition with my guidance counselor, who's very sweet and very helpful with me. And she was like, "Yeah, you can do it, blah blah blah." Like I could go talk to Miss Rubio, and the next day I was in Miss Rubio's class doing like an orientation of what was gonna go on in the class, and I was like, "Yeah, I think I like it better here." So I made the
Oh,
transition. My aunt was, we argued a little bit about it, but I was just like, "Listen, this is what I want to do," and she was like, "You know what? You gotta do what you gotta do," and then it was smooth on out from there. And then
oh,
I
what's
stayed
good?
there for the remaining 3 years.
That's awesome. Actually, who's your guidance counselor?
Miss Ulovella, she was very very
Ah,
sweet. Loved her.
bless, bless her soul,
Favorite,
bless her soul. I don't think I
literally.
remember. I don't think I remember having her. Well, I don't even remember seeing her, but it is what it is. But
She's kinda tall with, like, curly-ish hair, glasses. She's very helpful, like, when,
brown.
like,
Wait,
scheduling came around, she was,
yeah,
like, doing a lot of scheduling for
dark brown
people.
hair.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, she was like, so like when you enter, when you enter the door, she was like the first to the left, right?
No, to the right. So you entered the door and went to the right, she was the first one there.
Oh, alright. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. She was kind of older lady too, right? You
Mhm,
mentioned. Yeah. Alright. So I know you're talking about now. But
mhm.
yeah, she's the one that brought you to the art world, or at least as
Yeah,
far as CP
she helped
goes.
me. Yep.
But, but in regards to that, I know like being an artist just is rough in general. There's a lot of misconceptions. You could tell your dad you want to do art. He tells you no, you got to be a doctor. So what was kind of, I know we mentioned how what rough it was for a transition, but overall, what's the rough patches that you might face now? What are some misconceptions about art you face now, and how do you go about handling them?
So I feel like the biggest misconception about art, and I feel like almost every artist has had stumbled upon this at least once in their career, is that when you go to your parents and say, "Mom, Dad, or like whoever you live with, you want to become an artist," and they look at you and they're like, "You want to become an artist and not make money?" And I feel like the biggest misconception is that, artists don't make money. And it was very hard for me to obviously come to terms with that I was like, "Oh, like, it depends on what I wanna do to be an artist, like, do I wanna just do paintings?" Like, I feel like when you go to somebody and say, "I wanna become an artist," they automatically think, like, you just wanna sell artwork in the streets and make minimal money, and that's absolutely not true at all. I don't think even though, like, yeah, you can do that, but not everyone has that mindset of becoming an artist, like, there are many different types of art. You got architecture, you have makeup, you have doing graphic design, you have computer work, you have photography. Like there's just so many things that are artistic that you can do and make the money that anyone else can do. And it's just like I don't really remember like how I came to terms about it. I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to become a meteorologist and I was like very into nature. I was very into just like natural disasters and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to become a meteorologist when I was older. But then that whole thing flipped and I still had art on the side and I was like, but I really want to become an artist. I really want
Mhm.
to do artwork for people and like do t-shirts and stuff like that and just, just get out there with like a brand. And the whole meteorologist thing kind of just slipped off the face of the earth and I told my aunt and uncle, I was like, listen, I want to become an artist. I want to do graphic design. And they kind of looked at me funny and they were like, "Oh, like we'll think about it, like we'll sit
Mhm.
down and talk about it." But they ended up accepting me and they love my artwork. I did a lot of things for my aunt and uncle for like Mother's Day and birthdays and stuff like that. And they really appreciate my artwork. So they know how much effort I put into it and they support me. It might not be the same for a lot of other people, sadly, but I'm very glad to have parents who support me in what I do for my artwork. My father, not so much because he didn't really understand the concept of becoming an artist in the real life world. Obviously, my
Mhm.
father knew the neighbor that I was talking to a little bit earlier, saying how he did paintings, but he didn't really understand about how to like make money off of it. He just kind of did paintings for the fun of it, but I actually wanted to
Yeah.
do work and actually bring it out there and get paid for it. So he didn't really understand that. And he was like, "Oh, like, like I didn't know that you want to become an artist." I'm like, "Well, I do." So,
Yeah.
surprise. But it's always been hard for like people who want to become artists. Like I said before, everyone's misconception is you want to become an artist, you're not going to make money for it. And that's not true at all. People get into businesses like big investments like Google or Adobe or any like YouTube or anything, and like people don't realize that artists are very well needed in these specific businesses. Like,
Yeah.
how do you think they created the logo of their big brand? Or how do you think they create this website for the big brand? An artist.
Mm.
So I just feel like people should give a little bit more consideration and thought of like when someone says, I want to become an artist, don't say like, oh, you're not going to make money. Say, oh, what do you want to do? Or like, what do you want to achieve with it? So that, you can
Yeah.
just build the conversation off of it and not just be like, oh, you're not going to make money. And it's like, oh, okay, thanks for like letting me know that. Like, I'm trying to like figure that out as I go into the art world, which is just very crazy. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right. And going back off that, you mentioned what do you want to do as an artist? So I know that this question has different answers depending on, who it is. But since you're the guest for today, what is it that you strive to do as an artist?
I have a couple things in mind. Like I have a lot of backup plans and stuff like that. So my first big thing when I went into college, I told myself I'm going to eventually create a brand. Gonna create a brand, I'll do like a bunch of like stickers and t-shirts and prints and stuff like that. Like how a bunch of artists I follow on social media platforms what they do. They make a brand. A lot of people do like sneakers or clothing and then they do stickers and prints and I'm like I'm really interested in that and I would like to do that. If I didn't succeed with that, I told myself I would try and get into a big business brand like Google or something in the city. It's a very big dream. Trust me, I know it's a very big dream to like achieve, but it's achievable. It really is. And if
Hmm.
that didn't work out, I told myself I would be a makeup artist. I would just make my own business into the makeup world and make my own. I don't think I'd make my own company making makeup, but I would do like makeup on people.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of things on my plate. I'm kind of just letting it roll out until like something kind of falls into place. But at least I have a bunch of options and I'm like, oh, I can pick one of these, but I'm really
Yeah.
striving for either one or three because I know like the whole going into like the business thing in the city is very difficult, but like I said, it is achievable and don't think that it's not achievable because it is, but
Hmm.
it's just something that's a little bit more technical and something that will require a lot more like effort into putting into, and it's just like wow, like that's a really big dream. But when I think about it, those other three are like also big dreams because it's like what I'm gonna do in the future. Like I need to settle down on what I want to do eventually.
Yeah. All right. That's
So yeah.
dope. That's dope. Actually, what's it called? I know that, you mentioned you're in cosmetology and you still have an interest in it. And for anybody that doesn't know, she's a great makeup artist too. I will put the links in the description for
Oh,
all of
thank
the
you.
pages. Not a problem. Not a problem. So, how does cosmetology, that's kind of like another culture you're a part of. How do you feel about it? What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? And how does it kind of relate to, your art, like the art culture that you're in?
When I was younger, I always hated makeup. When I was younger, I was in dance and I had to wear makeup for dance recitals and I hated the feeling of it. I hated how like it was like really weird and like it felt like cakey on your face. Like it just felt like an extra layer of skin that was heavy. And I was just like,
Mm,
mm-mm, don't like it at all. Whatever. Like I'll never wear makeup. Blah blah blah. Here I am now wearing makeup, right? But as the years go by, like the beauty community, especially, just grows and grows every single day. I feel like, and like something new is out there, and everyone has to try it, and then it gets really controversial or like it's really universal. And it's like, wow, like this is really crazy. So I told myself in middle schoolish, high school that like I'm gonna make myself look a little better. I was and still am just like bits of insecurity come through sometimes, and I'm like I need to change this or like I want to fix this. And I feel like for personally myself, I kind of have like a unique style of doing makeup.
Mm.
I'm kind of like on the edge of things where like people won't do them. So recently I slit the ends of my eyebrows off so I can have pointy eyebrows, and people are like, "Oh, don't do that. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do that." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go beyond the norm. I like being going beyond the norm a little bit and just
We
like
respect that.
dousing into like the weirder things that people would not try at all." So I told myself, like kind of just go crazy and have fun. And like I like wearing a lot of color on the face. I kind of just wear like all black usually. So like I like to pop in some color somewhere. So I told myself, pop in some color in your makeup. When I was
Mhm.
in cosmetology, I didn't really get the hands-on experience because obviously I was still like a freshman, sophomore-ish. And hands-on came in like way later, junior year, senior year. So I did a bunch of book work, but I was still very interested in doing like makeup. I'm not really interested in doing hair. I don't. I can't do hair. I can only do myself. Can only do my own hair. Like I can straighten someone else's hair, but if you want curls, don't even look at me. And if you want like a haircut, like I can trim people's hair. I trim my own hair, so I get like the experience from when I did cosmetology in school, and I just trim my own hair. I did my own bangs, I dyed my own hair, and like I'm kind of
Mhm.
experienced in that, but not on a professional level whatsoever. So I told myself, since I'm not going to be in cosmetology, but I'm still interested in the makeup, to just practice on my own. I honestly just learned by myself. Nobody really taught me how to do eyeliner or how to do eyebrows or put on a set of eyelashes. And I'm just like, it's a learning process. I've had my times where I look back at them, I'm like, my makeup was horrible. Like my eyebrows were this big on my face, and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't know who that is. But
uh,
I eventually learned. I watched so many people just do their stuff, and I'm sitting at home trying to do it. I'm like, it doesn't look as good as theirs, but at least it's effort. And then over time, I figured it out. It snapped, and I was doing makeup by myself, and I do the craziest looks sometimes. I realize that, and I just enjoy it. I love doing it now, and I love doing it on other people. I've had a couple people who had prom a few years ago, and they're like, let please do my makeup, and I'm like, I will do your makeup. Or there are people who are on Instagram like, oh my God, I love your eye look, or I love the eyeliner, and like I want you to do my eyebrows, and I'm like, oh my God, like it's so overwhelming sometimes. And I really appreciate like the people who love the stuff I do and like love the makeup I do. Like it's a lot of hard work, and like I'm glad it pays off because people like it and people want stuff to be, they want their makeup done by me. And I just think like that's crazy. Like never in a million years would I think that, because I was so bad at it a couple years ago, and now I'm sitting here and I'm kind of just doing it on my own. And like it's crazy. I love the beauty aspect of makeup. And although like the beauty community itself right now is a little bit like on the edge, I still love doing like makeup. Like I don't know if anyone out there who is like listening to this podcast is like, oh, like have you ever heard of this stuff in the beauty community? Like yeah, it's a little crazy. It's more than a little crazy right now, but
uh,
I still love makeup. I will never like not love makeup or whatever. Like I'll always keep doing it and like get better at it eventually, and maybe take off with it. Who knows? My path
yeah.
is just kind of sporadically going everywhere, and it's like one day I'll eventually do something, and something will come up and be like, yeah, open the door and let her go through, and she'll go through, and I'll do something eventually.
That's
So yeah,
dope.
yeah.
Actually,
Thank you.
we noticed, or at least I noticed, you got the sunset going on, and it looks incredible. So, what other hair dyes you trying to use? Like, what other colors you want to work around or play around with, whether
Oh
that's with
boy.
your hair or with somebody else?
I love doing weird stuff to my hair because my hair grows back pretty quick now, and like I just like doing the whole, you know what? I'm gonna be living. I might as well just start living it up and just putting anything in my hair. This wasn't
Mm,
supposed to happen. I was actually supposed to just have yellow, but I kind of just like was looking at it. And I was like, what if I just did half of my hair this color and half of my hair this color, and just like did let it happen. So then this
uh,
happened, and I really like it, and like it's really crazy, and I like it's so different, and I like being different. I don't like being with the people who just do whatever to their hair. Like I don't like getting highlights done because like I just feel like that's just so normal. I like
uh,
going a little bit crazier and a little bit out the box and just kind of spicing it up a little bit. So I do like how this came out. I really want to try green. I've told you guys for the longest time I really, really, really want to do like this foresty jade green. I haven't gotten
Uh,
my hands on the dye yet, but I will eventually. And eventually, I kind of maybe will want to like bring this more back and color a little more and do silver and black. I feel like that will look really cool. I just like
yeah.
going crazy colors, and like everyone's probably like, "Oh, like that's a little weird." It's like, yeah, it's weird, but it's me, and I like doing it. Like I
That's
know a couple friends who have like, nice hair colors and like with different colors in their hair, and I'm like, they look great. Like, what are you talking about?
yeah.
So I like going a little bit beyond the norm and just dyeing my hair. Like I've had a bunch of colors, obviously. You remember I had red hair, purple hair, blue hair, and the whole 9 yards, and I loved it every second. So I'm
Well,
back dyeing my hair.
well, we respect that. Actually, when you say you like going beyond the norm, and I love that. That's a dope mindset. But who or what caused you to say this normal stuff that ain't for me? Like, like was it like a sudden revelation? Was it something that kind of was a slow process and you just kind of figured out throughout the years? Like, what happened?
It was just ever since I was younger, like in schools especially, like I noticed how everyone kind of like looked the same. Like I know it might sound bad, but like just society itself is just like women have such an expectation to look one way, and I like
Mm,
to say just F it. You shouldn't be looking the way that they are saying you should look, and kind of just do whatever. Cuz what women go through like very often is like, just how you should wear, how you should look, or how your hair should look, or should your hair be straight or curly for a guy and stuff like that. And it's just like, oh, like it irks me that people are so brainwashed by the fact that a woman has to be beautiful when they're skinny, blonde, blue eyes, whatever, or like
mhm.
skinny, brown hair, brown eyes. And it's just like, no. It's like, no. Like everyone is beautiful in their own way, no matter what kind of body or what kind of hair or what you look like or what eye color you have or what skin color you have. Like I just feel like everyone should find their own inner beauty and like really show their true colors when they feel comfortable. And I figured out my true colors when I was like maybe a sophomore in high school, and I was like, these normal things that women should look like is just not for me. I just feel myself, I don't want to be super skinny with like super long hair and like highlights in my hair and like wear like just the basics. And I'm just like, I don't like being, just normal. I just like being a little outrageous and, coloring my hair and cutting it whenever I want to. And then like wearing like crazy outfits, like baggy clothing. Like that's also another thing that, baggy clothing doesn't look good on women, or they shouldn't wear baggy clothing because it makes them look like raggedy or whatever. It's like I'm I'm no, I'm making it work. I'm gonna make it work whether you like it or not. And I don't really care if other people are like, oh, like you look bad. I'm like, I don't look bad to me, but it might look bad to you, and I don't really care. So I
Yeah,
kind of just have that I don't care mindset now, and I kind of just do whatever. And if I like it, I like it. I go out with it, and I'm just like, I'm gonna rock it myself. If anyone doesn't like it, too bad. And I kind of just had that mindset for a couple of years, and I still have that, especially now. Now I'm growing up and I'm in college and stuff like that, and everyone kind of just looks at you, and this is when like jobs are like looking at you, like what your appearance is like, and I'm just like, this is me. I have piercings, I have dyed hair, I'm gonna eventually have tattoos, I wear crazy clothing. Like, it's just how I want to be. And it's not like I'm shaming, like normalizing, like, the long hair and skinny people. Like, if you're skinny, you're beautiful. But obviously, if you're a little chubbier and you're a little thicker, obviously you're beautiful too. Everyone's got their own sort of beauty that I feel like
mhm.
everyone is just so blinded by. And everyone's just like, but society said this, but like, you should think this. And it's like, it's crazy. And it's so like harming to people, like even men too. Like I know some men are like really shamed by being a little chubbier or like a little bit like, saggy skin or like no muscle. And it's like, like every guy has their own sense of beauty and every woman has their own sense of beauty. And like I feel like
Yeah,
everyone, no matter who they are and what they look like, everyone should have their own beauty and be proud of having that beauty, because like,
mm.
rock it. Like just go out there and rock what you got. Like I don't know, like it's just something that's always been so crazy to me, and like I just feel like rocking what you have and what you like is just the best thing, and it makes you feel so much better.
Yeah, and who you are when you're who you are, it's going to be seen, whether that's in your appearance or what you do, be it schoolwork, artwork, makeup, whatever. And because of who you are, it kind of impacts, your art. It impacts it impacts the cosmetology side of, that. So I guess my question kind of comes down to, what other subcultures are you a part of, and how do you show, you in those subcultures?
Hmm. Well, I feel like relating to my artwork, I do a lot of artwork that is kind of just like detail. I like a lot of detail into whether like it's what I look like in a day, but when I'm in the art world and I'm sitting down and I'm in my art book just kind of doing whatever, detail is a lot of importance to me. At least for me. It doesn't have to be for anyone else who's like doing art and they kind of just like do scribbles and it comes out really good. Like, like props to you. But for me, I'm not saying like I'm also like a perfectionist. I'm very, very far off from a perfectionist from in the art world and in like just normal world. I just like detail. Like, what I'd put on myself, obviously, I have the colored hair. I like piercings, so I have a couple piercings here and there. And,
Mm,
I like bold makeup. Whatever is strong in my real world, I put it into my artwork. So like my artwork sometimes like I'll do some portraits of people and I'll be like, "Oh, do you want anything specific?" I had a commission a couple months ago where the woman, she was like, "Oh, like when you're doing my portrait, can you add like a few like extra details that like, nobody would really have?" So I was like, "Oh, like what do you mean by that?" She was like, "Give me like horns or something, or give me like a snake tongue or piercings." I'm like, okay, like
that
I'll go
sounds
for it.
so dope.
So like, whatever the person tells me, or just myself, like whenever I make like self portraits of myself, because it's always good to do a self portrait of yourself to like make sure like you still got it. Like I'll
Mm,
add like a few extra details. Like I had a self portrait of myself a couple months ago where it was like create yourself into a monster. I had an extra eye on my forehead. I had a snake tongue. Like I just like just going out there and just doing something different. And like
mm,
I see on a bunch of different platforms of like Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Twitter, of a bunch of artists I follow, and everyone's art style is different, whether it's like cutesy, like nice anime-ish to like one I just found recently a couple days ago where she does a lot of self-portraits, but they're so incredibly detailed and like they're kind of like creepy in a way, but they're just so insanely nice.
mm,
And I always just think that detail is like very, very much the number one priority for me. Like whether it's me waking up in the morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going out with my friends. What do I wear today? I'll wear like something cool and then like I'll add my details, which is like what kind of jacket, bracelets, do I want to wear a chain? Do I want to put like different piercings on? Do I want to make my eyeliner a little bit bolder today? Like detail has always been like my thing. And I feel like detail goes a long way for me, and that little extra bit of detail just changes like your whole persona, whether it's you being you going out into like public and seeing people, or just in the art world where you're just going crazy and you're doing whatever. I just feel like detail is like the chef kiss of the style of that you're going for.
All right, that's incredible. And what would you say to, well, viewers or anybody? It could be anybody, it could be the viewers, it could be your younger self. What would you say, like, in regards to the art culture or cosmetology or just even you? Like, if you had a big message you would want people to kind of get out of this podcast, what would it be?
I would definitely say don't let the world define who you are. Like I know it sounds so cliche, but really, like it's really important. Do not let the world define who you are. Whether if someone online tells you like that doesn't look good on you, but you really like it, you keep wearing it. And if you do artwork that looks a little bit different from everyone else and people are like, "Why is it so scary?" You like it and you do it. Whatever you
Mm,
like, you should do. And especially like either subject, either to my younger self or to any other artist out there who's listening, and whoever does makeup out there, whoever's listening, just be yourself. Being yourself and creating the content that you like and not going by the normalness of what society tells you and the whole world tells you about art just do whatever you like and keep doing that, and you can get somewhere super far. Like, I know it might, like, you might look at it and be like, this is like a little weird, but I like it, so I'm gonna keep it. Like, if it's, oh my god, it's if it fits for you, it fits for you, and you'll know when it fits for you because it'll click. You'll wear
Mm.
something and you'll be like, this is really like this is really me. And like you'll put something on or you'll do art and you're like, I really like it. If you like it, you keep doing it. Don't ever give up on it just because somebody tells you they don't like it. They don't like it, good for them. They don't have to like it. They don't have to follow you. They don't have to continue to, work with you or whatever. But if you have other people who like your work, go with those people because those people will most likely be in your life forever. They will support you, they will help you out, they will uplift you when you're feeling down or like when you get art block. Anything like that, just keep going with what you're doing because one day it'll come out really good and you never know where it could go. Really.
All right. All
So
right.
yeah.
And what about the future? I mean, I know we mentioned, what are the big goals, but as far as the future, what do you got planned? Whether that, be art, like quarantine has given us a lot of time to do a lot of things.
Oh
So
yeah.
so like is there anything new that you picked up, and is that gonna be, influenced in your art or anything of that sorts? Like how is it?
So I bought an iPad a couple months ago, like I want to say maybe a little bit late last year, and I've been on Procreate a lot, trying to transition from Photoshop and Illustrator on the computer to Procreate is like a big change. So during the quarantine for like what 4 or 5 months that we've had quarantine, I picked up on how to finally like shade properly, and now that I can like properly shade and color, because I used to be an artist where I would just make it black and white, but like obviously the detail comes in. So like it was very detailed, but it was always black and white. And I was just like, I've always wanted to put color into my work just because some people prefer it. Like some of my commissions, they ask like, hey, like can you color it in? I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, I can do that. But on the inside, I'm like, ooh, like I'm not really the great colorist. Like I have to like do something to make it look good. So I'm currently doing something for one of my friends and I'm coloring it and I'm like, oh, like I need to like, learn how to color it. But I picked up a few techniques over quarantine and I definitely think it'll impact my future for art tremendously because it has to do with portraits that I do. I do portraits for people a lot actually. Like a lot of people are like, hey, can you do this for me? I'm like, sure, why not? Like, do you want it colored? Do you want it not colored? And a lot of people have been asking for color and I'm like, I need to learn how to color. So now that I know
Mm,
how to actually shade and do all like the technicalities of it, I'm really happy with it and I can do portraits in the future where I'm more comfortable with doing color. So God forbid in the future, like someone's like, I want a really big piece and they want it all colored. I'm not sitting there stressing like, oh my God, I don't know how to color. And I can just be like, yes, I can do that for you because I know how to do it now. And like I learned how to do it. And I'm happy that I did because now I can make a lot more cleaner artwork and just make
mm.
it look more, it just pops a little more and it just looks a little better. So yeah, that'll be a great impact on my future for sure. And I'm excited for that.
All right. I mean, I think I've already asked you two questions and then I was going to let you go, but I got one more because you mentioned something real important and I think it's important for the
Yeah,
podcast.
no problem.
So, commissions, what is that like? I know a lot of people use commissions because growing up, I used to be a big fan of going on DeviantArt just to see my favorite artists and see what they would post. So, for commissions, how does that work? And what's your advice for anybody that wants to do commissions?
So I'm fairly new at commissions myself. Obviously, I've gotten a couple over time, but I'm at the point now where commissions are kind of just natural for me. For someone who's starting off commissions, I would say really talk it out with somebody who you trust and discuss pricing. Commissions are all about when it's at your time, well for me at least, when my time is right and I have the most free time, I open my commissions to people like, "Hey, like my commissions are open. If you have been wanting something from me, now's a good time to ask me for it." So
Mm.
with commissions, like I have it on Instagram and not really anywhere else. I gotta like, start really working on my Instagram. But my commissions are I think currently like on standby because I've been doing a couple of things for other people. But pricing is important because you want to maybe sell commissions. And usually if somebody asks you like, "Hey, can you do this for me?" and then you say sure, but then they expect it to be free, don't do it because you're just giving away your artwork for free and it's just not fair to you.
Mm.
Always make sure that you get some money out of your commissions because it's important because you're doing this hard work for X amount of hours and then you're just gonna give it to them for free. Like, come on, you gotta get that coin, gotta get that bread
Gotta
somehow.
get
You
that
gotta get
guap
somewhere. You
somehow.
gotta get the guap somehow. So you gotta start,
Yeah.
asking for money for your commissions. And
Yeah.
I know it's a little uncomfortable for sure. Like whenever somebody asks me, like, Cass, I need you to do something to me, I'm like, all right, let's sit down. How much are you willing to pay? Like we'll talk about it, discuss it, like what you want to do, like if you want it to be black and white, if you want it to be colored, do you want it to be a portrait, do you want it to be something else? There's a lot to go down in commissions and they're super super complicated, trust me, especially when you're starting out. But over time, when you get so many commissions and someone's like, I really want this from you, you sit down, you know what you're talking about. And then if they know what they're talking about, it's even better because like you don't have to sit there and discuss like what they might possibly want and then you put something together and it's not what they want. It's a lot better to know what you want before you're going into a commission than just really just going in there and be like, "Hi, I might want this," but then like they'll do it for you, and then they're just like, "Nah, I don't like it." And it's like, wait, didn't you just ask me for this? Like it's a long process. It's a long communication process, as I would say a lot.
Mhm.
In simpler terms, there's a lot of communication that goes into it, but it's very important because that is like the miniature start off of like if you want to have a business, commissions are very important and they will always be important. Whether you're a big artist or not, like I know a lot of big artists who I see on like TikTok and stuff, especially, um, are just like, oh, my commissions are open, and everyone's like flooding their DMs, and they can only pick so many. But
Mhm.
commissions also take a long time. So if you're expecting a commission piece from somebody, please give them the time um that they need because like you're not rushing them and they seem like, oh, now I have to be rushed and it comes out a little bit better, like a little bit bad than what they expected. Give the commission person some time because art takes a long time. People have lives, people are busy, like something happens sometimes, some things slip up sometimes, and it's important to just let them breathe and just give them the time that they need. And then when it's done, you get it and then you pay and then you're happy, you have your commission piece. And if you want to go back to them, if they're like a bigger artist and you want to go back to them and be like, hey, like I got a commission piece from you a few months ago and I would like to ask you if I can get another one for whatever, then kind of get like note like you get kind of noticed by the commission person and you're like, oh, like I remember you, and like that's how you build like friendships with other people. So a lot of stuff goes in commission pieces, but it is very worth it in the end. You can end up becoming friends with the person who does the commission pieces, and it just gets a lot easier. And commissions come in, and then you start having fun. But don't overwhelm yourself with commission pieces because then you're stuck with like 6 commission pieces, and you're like, I don't have time to do all these. Start off small, maybe like 1 or 2 pieces, and then when you start feeling comfortable with that, like increase it a little bit. Like if you want to have your business out on Instagram, say like my commissions are open to X amount of slots, and once those slots are full, the commissions are closed. You gotta wait now until the next one is open, and like kind of it's under your control. It's kind of like you're your own boss, so you do it
Mm.
under your time and not under somebody else's. Because then if you did it under someone else's, they'd be like, all right, you have another commission piece and you had just started one. It's like, but I just started one, and they're like, but you have another one. And it's like, you just go at your own pace. Everyone's different. Some people can take as many commission pieces as they want. Like some people can take 5 at once and then they'll keep going. I'm like, I can never do that, honestly. I'm a slow artist. Sometimes I get artist block, and artist block is the worst. Um Sometimes it happens, and what can you do about it, really? So take it slow and then work your way up. It's kind of just like building blocks. Go from step one and you keep going up, and then you'll be finished eventually. And then you just continue to grow up with it. You grow with it.
Got you. Got
So
you.
yeah,
Well, that is dope. I thank you for the advice, and I most definitely thank you for your time. Now,
thank you for having me. Wow,
one
this is crazy.
last one last question. So somebody is asking us if we want to hop on Minecraft. Are you down for that?
Yes, I'm down to hop on Minecraft.
All right. That's
All
great.
right.
So we have important matters to attend to. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm Jakai Grayson, your host. This is Cassidy, our guest, and I'll see you guys around. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me, and to everyone out there, take my advice and have fun. Enjoy joy.